Sukhnamati.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Just a second, Prabhuji, I'm just entering the house. We was out. If
Ah, no
someone
problem.
else wants to read, they can go ahead, Prabhuji. If not, I'll.
Sure, Mati. I can start maybe and then you can continue after when you're ready.
Okay.
Sure, Mati. Let me share my screen. Okay. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी नितिनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 8. The chapter title is Talks Between the Lord and Ramanandaraya. We're reading from text number 232. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women, who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. 233. After hearing this, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Ramananda Raya, and both of them, embracing shoulder to shoulder, began to cry. Text 234. The entire night was passed in this way, in ecstatic love of Godhead. In the morning, they both departed to tend to their respective duties. Text 235. Before departing from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramananda Raya fell to the ground and caught hold of the Lord's lotus feet. He then spoke submissively as follows. Text 236. Sri Ramananda Raya said, "You have come here just to show me your causeless mercy. Therefore, stay here for at least 10 days and purify my polluted mind." Text 237. But for you, there is no one who can deliver all the living entities. For you alone can deliver love of Krishna. Text 238. The Lord replied, "Having heard about your good qualities, I have come here. I have come to hear about Krishna from you and thus purify my mind." Text 239. Now, I now that I have actually seen your glories, what I heard about you is confirmed. As far as the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in a loving mood are concerned, you are the limit of knowledge. Text 240. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "To say nothing of 10 days, as long as I live, I shall find it impossible to give up your company." Text 241. You and I shall remain together at Jagannath Puri. We shall pass our time together in joy, talking about Krishna and his pastimes. Text 242. In this way, they both departed to perform their respective duties. Then, in the evening, Ramananda Raya returned to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 243. Thus, they met time and time again, sitting in a secluded place and jubilantly discussing devotion service by the question and answer process. Text 244. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the questions and Sri Ramananda Raya gave the answers. In this way, they were engaged in discussion throughout the night. Text 245. On one occasion, the Lord inquired, of all types of education, which is the most important? Text 246. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked Ramananda Raya, out of all glorious activities, which is the most glorious? Oh, interesting. Let me see. In my book, I had two. Each of these had two statements in the book. Let me see. 1 to 45. Yeah, interesting. Let me click on this. It'll show more. No. That's interesting. Oh, yeah. Oh, it is in the purport. Okay. Let me read like this then. On one occasion, the Lord inquired, of all types of education, which is most important? Ramananda replied, no education is important other than the transcendental devotion service of Krishna. Go to the next one. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked Ramananda Raya, out of all glorious activities, which is the most glorious? Ramananda Raya replied, that person who is reputed to be a devotee of Lord Krishna enjoys the utmost fame and glory. Oh, most of the questions are like that only. Okay, let me open the purport then. Yeah. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, of the many capitalists who possess great riches, who is the topmost? Ramananda replied, he who is richest in love for Radha and Krishna is the greatest capitalist. 248. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, of all kinds of distress, what is the most painful? Sri Ramananda Raya replied, apart from separation from the devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable happiness. Unhappiness. No unbearable unhappiness. Next one. 249. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then inquired, out of all liberated persons, who should be accepted as the greatest? Ramananda Rai replied, he who has love for Krishna has attained the topmost liberation. Text 250. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next asked Ramananda Raya, among many songs, which song is to be considered the actual religion of the living entity? Ramananda Rai replied, that song describing the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna is superior to all other songs. Are you ready, Mataji, now? Otherwise, I can continue. Yeah. Text 251. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, out of all auspicious and beneficial activities, which is best for the living entity? Ramananda Rai replied, the only auspicious activity is association with the devotees of Krishna. Text
Prabhuji, I can read now, Prabhuji.
Sure, Mataji. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, what should all living entities constantly remember? Ramananda Rai replied, the chief objects of remembrance are always the Lord's holy name, qualities, and pastimes.
Mataji, you can read this also, this verse also, this portion also.
Yeah, Ramananda Rai replied, the chief objects of remembrance are always the Lord's holy name, qualities, and pastimes. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2.36 states.
No, that's enough, Mataji. Yeah.
That's okay.
Somehow in the book, physical book, what is happening is this portion also is in the translation of the physical book.
Oh.
Whereas here it is in the purport. That's why I'm asking you to read. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, like this. This next one. This is 253. Yeah.
So you want me to continue?
Yeah, two more verses, Mataji. This one and this one. And then one more also.
So you're sharing, Prabhuji. I am not able to see. I'm just seeing what I just read.
Oh, really? Okay, then go ahead and read from 253, Mataji, verse 253.
253. Okay.
Yeah. Till 255, we'll read.
Okay. Yeah, for somehow it's stuck in that screen. So
okay. Let me share again then. Let me see if that helps. I'm sharing again.
Yeah, so this is Madhya Lila, Prabhuji, or I can open.
Madhya Lila chapter 253.
Okay, yeah, I'll read from my side.
Sure.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further inquired, out of many types of meditation which is required for all living entities. Text 254. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, where should the living entity live abandoning all the other places. Text 255. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, out of all topics people listen to, which is best for all living entities?
Yeah, that's the 255, right? Okay.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You were also reading from Vedabase only, like? Yeah. Let me read something. What I'm doing, I'm clicking on the verse. Then there's the answer also. Ramananda Prabhu's answer also. I'll read that one. Yeah. And I click on that one. 253. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further inquired, out of many types of meditation, which is required for all living entities, Sri Ramananda replied, the chief duty of every living entity is to meditate upon the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. 254. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, where should the living entity live, abandoning all other places? Ramananda Raya replied, you should live in the holy place known as Vrindavana or Vrajabhumi, where the Lord performed his Rasa dance. Text 285. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, out of all topics people listen to, which is the best for all living entities? Ramananda Raya replied, hearing about the loving affairs between Radha and Krishna is most pleasing to the ear. Okay, I'll stop sharing and briefly discuss the context and we'll go back to the verses again. So the context here is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on the, he was originally in Jagannath Puri after he took sannyas, and then from there he went to South India tour. When he went to the South India tour, he happened to meet Ramananda Rai. He was actually looking for Ramananda Rai because Sarvam Bhattacharya recommended Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go visit Ramananda Rai because he understood Ramananda Rai is an exalted devotee, like that. So with that, given that context, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Rai in seclusion is described. First time they met him before everybody. Then they could not show their emotions clearly, and they did not discuss detailed Rasa Lila pastimes or Radha Krishna pastimes like that. But next day onwards, they met in seclusion. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the questions, and Ramananda Rai responded. The questions are, they started with what is the goal of life, and Ramananda Rai started with small things like doing prescribed duties, Varnashma, then Jnana Bhakti, Bhakti without any Gnana mixture. Like that, he went all the way till Shantarasa, Dasarasa, Sakyarasa, Vasalarasa, and Madhurasa. And then it describes Vajragopi's devotion is the best, like that is the goal of life, like that. And then he describes Srimati Radharani's love is the best, topmost, like that he described. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked about what is the sadhana to get that goal of life. Then he described how devotion service is the best. And then there were questions about description about glories of Krishna, glories of Srimati Radharani, like that questions were there. And then in this section we are hearing, today's section has two main parts. Let me see, we started from 232, right? Yeah. Today's section is from yesterday's section is continuing. That's about Raganuga Bhakti. It starts with how Raganuga Bhakti is the best to achieve devotion to Lord Krishna. And then next section goes to what is the greatest things in different ways, like that. Different categories, what are the greatest things? Essentially pointing to loving devotion service. So we'll go to the first theme today, which is Raganuga Bhakti. He's saying that, let me go my book also to 32. Yeah. He's saying, he's describing what Gopi's good fortune in Rasalila, how Lord personally embraced with his arms like that. And that was not, that great fortune, transcendental favor was not even bestowed to goddess of fortune or beautiful girls in the heavenly planets. And what to speak of worldly men, women, like that is describing. So previous verses, if you remember, he was describing even goddess of fortune did so much austerities, but she could not get the association of Krishna like the Vrajagopis got, like that. That's what we were discussing in the previous verses. Now, after this discussion was over, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya embraced each other, it seems. And then they began to cry. So in that way, they passed the whole night in ecstatic prema. And then they went back to their respective duties, it seems, like that. But before going, Ramananda Raya offered obeisances, and caught hold of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, and he spoke submissively. This is important, okay? So, you probably might have heard when we are glorifying Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, for example, to encourage somebody to take the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, for example, or to explain the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to any devotees, to encourage them to read. One of the things we discuss is how Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita has tattva, that means uh, science of Krishna consciousness in one sense. That's one. Also, it has the rasa, that means the mellows of devotion service also. And then it also has the character of a devotee, personally exemplified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and many, many great devotees like that. So this section, today's section, we can learn a lot of things just by seeing the interaction between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. How we need to respect Guru, how we need to respect Vaishnavas, how we need to deal with Vaishnavas, what should be our internal consciousness and mood, what should be our external behavior, like that. So many things we can learn. So Ramananda Rai, before he goes, is speaking submissively to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's saying, you come here just to show me your causeless mercy. Therefore, stay here for at least 10 days and purify my polluted mind. So what is happening? Ramananda Rai is requesting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's association for 10 more days. That's the external point. But second point is, he's understanding that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is causeless. Not because, oh, you know what? I know so many things about Radha Krishna pastimes. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. I'm so great. He's not feeling like that. He's thinking, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for me. He's showing his causeless mercy. There's nothing I did that I deserve it. He's giving me like that. Like that he's thinking. Number one. Another point is, his request is not thinking, oh, I'm such a pure devotee. Not like that. He's thinking his mind is polluted. So by association with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, his mind will be purified, like that he's thinking. So that's again sign of humility of great Vaishnavas. Okay, that's another thing we can learn. Oh, let me also look at purports if anything is there. Oh, no purports. Okay. Then he's saying, still Ramananda is saying, but for you, there's no one who can deliver all the living entities. For you alone can deliver Krishna Prema, like that. So, this again is glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, appreciating his mercy, appreciating his greatness, like that. So now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replies, we can learn from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personal behavior, personal consciousness, personal mood also, like that. We can learn. He's saying, having heard about your good qualities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying to Raman Rai, I heard about your good qualities. That's why I come here. What does it mean? That means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Krishna are very pleased if we develop good qualities. Next, he says, I have come here to hear about Krishna from you and thus purify my mind. So what does this show again? Two things. One is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Remember Ramananda said, by your association, you can purify my mind. Now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, by your association, by hearing Krishna Katha, I can purify the mind, like that. By hearing Krishna Katha from you, I can get purified, like that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord himself, but is working like a devotee. Is showing example of a devotee. So he's showing the consciousness that I'm not purified. I need to get purified, like that he's showing. And then another aspect is, he's eager to hear Krishna Katha from a pure devotee. Not eager to tell, not like some of us who might go to pure devotee just to share our problems. That's not the point. Point of pure devotee association is to hear from him. For that, we can ask questions. So that gives an opportunity for them to give Krishna Katha to us. That's another thing we can learn here. Now going to take 239. He's saying, now that I have actually seen your glories, what I heard about you is confirmed. What is that he heard about him? That he has good qualities, like that. So now he's saying that I personally confirm that you have good qualities. And he's also certifying something about Ramananda Rai. What is he saying? For pastimes of Radha and Krishna in a loving mood are concerned, you are the limit of knowledge. That means he's saying you are the best authority in the transcendental knowledge about the loving affairs between Radha and Krishna. Who is certifying? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally certifying that point. Then he says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, remember he asked about staying back for 10 more days? And he said, you can purify my mind like that. Then he's saying, what about 10 days? I want to be always in your association. It is impossible for me to give up your company like that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. Why? Because they're attracted to pure devotees who are attracted to pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Krishna. Sorry. Yeah. So then, text 241. He says, you and I shall remain together at Jagannath Puri. So he's predicting for future. Basically, later on he asked Ramandarai to come to Jagannath Puri to associate with him and stay within his association only like that. Later on he's going to tell that coming up after a lot more verses, but yeah, that's indication. And he's saying we shall pass our time together in joy. Okay? So this is a point. They want to play and spend time in joy. How? Talking about Krishna and his pastimes. So another thing we can learn here that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing by his example that we spend time discussing about Krishna Kada when we are in association with devotees. And that's what gives us joy. Remember Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter verses there, Tushyanti Chara Madhya, that when devotees come together, they actually evoke mutual satisfaction, the pleasure by discussing Krishna Kada like that. So he's saying like that also. 241, let me see if there's any purport. Okay, there's no purport. Then they both departed to their respective duties, it seems. And in the evening, Ramananda returned back to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it seems. That means next day, next night. So then, like that, they met time and time again. And they sat in a secluded place so that ordinary people don't hear these exalted topics. And they were jubilantly discussing devotion service by the question and answer process. They're happy discussing about devotion service, one point. Another point is, how are they discussing it? By question and answer process. This is what we've seen before also. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking questions and Sri Ramananda Rai is answering questions. Of course, understanding is Ramananda Rai was empowered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's playing this role of asking questions in this scenario. He's given his mercy fully like that. Now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the questions and Ramananda Rai gave answers. That's why they engage in discussion throughout the night, it seems. So, if somebody needs to spend throughout the night, if somebody needs to spend time discussing a long time, they both need to have taste discussion like that. Otherwise, we'll be seeing time, we'll be thinking, when can I eat food? When can I go to bathroom? That only will be coming. So that shows how much taste they both had for devotion service and discussion of devotion service. Now text 245. Let me see if there's any purports. Yeah, 245 has purport. Okay, he's saying on one occasion, okay, from here the two things will go like this. So from here, the theme is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking what is the greatest in different categories he's going to ask. Like how in Krishna, in chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, he says, of all the luminaries, I'm the sun. Like that, he describes different things, right? Of all the tallest of the mountains, I'm Himalayas, like that. So like that. But here he is asking question, Ramananda Rai is responding back. These are very valuable conclusions of devotion service. Okay, we can pay attention. He's saying, which is the most important education? And Ramananda is saying, transcendental devotional service of Krishna is the most important education, not the material education like that. Prabhupada writes in the purport that material education, what does it do? It educates us how to increase material sense gratification. On top of it, higher than that is Brahma Vidya. That means knowledge of impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Top of that is devotional service to Lord Vishnu, Prabhupada writes. Top of that is devotional service to Lord Krishna. Here is differentiating between Vishnu and Krishna also in this purport. So he says work meant for pleasing Krishna is the best, and education that enhances once Krishna consciousness is the best. That means whatever increases our devotion service is the best, like that. And Prabhupada is quoting Prahlad Maharaj verse that talks about Savanam Kirtanam with Vishnu Smaranam, that 9 process of devotion service. How? Yeah, I'll show you. There is 9 process of devotion service. How? When somebody is engaged in such activities, he is understood to be educated to the topmost person. Remember, this is a common principle I keep sharing also. Gauranga Darshan Prabhu also shares. The symptom that one is in knowledge is that one is applying that knowledge, one is acting on that knowledge. So, if somebody knows Krishna, that means he's worshipping Krishna. That means they engage in devotion service of Krishna. Like that, somebody is doing the 9 process of devotion service, then that means their topmost perfection they already got in education. Because only because of that they are doing it already. Because perfection of education is to know Krishna and worship Krishna. Like that. Going to the next verse. Chaitanya next asked, out of all glorious activities, that means something that makes famous, somebody famous. What is the most glorious activities? He say, that person who is reputed to be a devotee of Lord Krishna enjoys the utmost fame and glory. So, the greatest reputation for a living being is to be a devotee of Krishna and act in Krishna consciousness, like that. In the purport, Prabhupada writes something nice. Oh, this is Prabhupada is quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.13.4. Let me, yeah, this is very nice. I like it. He's saying, actually, with hard labor, some person highly learned Vedic literature becomes very famous. But one who is always hearing and chanting the glories of lotus feet of Mukunda, Shravanam Kirtanam, within his heart, is certainly superior to whom? Somebody who knows all the Vedic knowledge also. So Shravanam Kirtanam is so wonderful, like that. And then he describes from Brihad Bhavatamrita, I believe. Yeah, Brihad Bhavatamrita, correct. Where is that? Oh, I missed that portion. Yeah, he describes that, yeah, where is he saying? In Lord Shiva, Brihad Bhavatamrita, the storyline is Nardamani is trying to find out who is the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy, like that. So Lord Shiva glorifies Prahlad Maharaj, that he is the greatest, like that. And Prahlad Maharaj glorifies Pandavas, and Pandavas glorify Yadu dynasty, and Yadu dynasty members glorify Uddhava as the best. Uddhava glorifies Vrajabhama, Gopis are the best themselves, like that. Like that, Prabhupada is giving the hierarchy here to say that the topmost are the devotees are the most ones who are very famous or glorious, like that. Going to the next verse. Out of all the capitalists who possess great riches, that means who are the topmost rich people, who is the topmost rich person is saying. Ramadha is saying, whoever has the love of Radha Krishna and richest in the love of Radha Krishna is the greatest capitalist, like that. So that is the more important. Love of Krishna is more important than just the money, because money will go temporarily, come temporarily and go temporarily, like that. And the interesting thing is, why is the richest? Prabhupada is emphasizing something in the purport here by quoting Srimad Bhagavatam verse. Because devotees of Krishna is the shelter of Lakshmi Devi. So that means if Krishna is pleased with them, Lakshmi Devi is also pleased with them. So Lakshmi Devi is ready to give anything. That's why they're highest, richest in that sense, number one. But because they're richest in devotion service and love of Krishna, they do not desire anything from Krishna. Even though they can obtain everything from Krishna, they don't want anything materially. That's the other point being made in the purport by Prabhupada. Going to next verse, 248. He asked, out of all kinds of distress, what is the most painful distress? So Ramananda is responding, separation from devotee of Krishna has the most unbearable unhappiness, like that, most distress situation, like that. And then, yeah, this is a nice statement from Bhagavad Bhavatamrita. Out of all the desirable things in the life of a living entity, association with devotees is the greatest. That's why when we are separated from devotees, that means we cannot enjoy any happiness, like that. That brings separation for us. Then, of all liberated persons, who is the greatest? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking. Ramananda is saying, he who has love for Krishna has attained the topmost liberation, like that. Let me go to this. Yeah, there's no purport. Next verse is 250, right? Okay. Okay, this has purport for 250. Okay, we'll go through that. Yeah. He is saying, among many songs, which song is considered to be the actual religion of the living entity? The song that describes Radha Krishna pastimes is superior to all other songs, he says. But Prabhupada is cautioning us. It's very dangerous for a neophyte devotee to hear, or a non-devotee rather, non-devotee to sing and meditate on Radha Krishna's pastimes like that. He's saying that unless one is a devotee, it's very dangerous to hear the songs about pastimes of Radha and Krishna like that. Written by great devotees like Jayadeva Goswami, Chandidasa, like that he's describing. Next verse, 281. Out of all auspicious and beneficial activities, which is the best for living entity? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling topmost conclusions through Ramananda. Ramananda replies, the only auspicious activity. He asks what is the topmost? Is the association with the devotees of Krishna. So that is the greatest treasure house for mankind, like that. Let's go next to 252. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, what should all living entities constantly remember? So he's saying, the chief objects of remembrance, that means what we should remember mainly, are the Lord's holy names, Lord's qualities, and Lord's pastimes. This is 251, I believe, right? 252. Okay. It's a short purport. Basically, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam is what is being glorified here. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks, out of many types of meditation, which is required for all living entities? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Ramananda is saying, the chief duty of every living entity is to meditate upon the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. So how does meditation come? Sri Prabhupada is quoting that when we attentively listen to the pastimes of Krishna, then one should glorify and meditate upon him regularly. So only when we hear, we can glorify and also we can remember the pastimes like that. That's why hearing is important like that. 254. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, where should the living entity live, abandoning all the places? So he says, best place to live is in the holy place known as Vrindavana or Rajamumi, where the Lord performed his rasa dance like that. So he's quoting, Prabhupada is quoting Uddhava's verse, where he wanted to become at least Vrindavan's herbs or plants or grass, so that gopis can put their feet like that. So because gopis are so glorious, yeah, that's why. So that's the best place to live. Okay. The last verse for today, 255. Chaitanya was asking, out of all topics people listen to, what is the best topic for all living entities? He's saying, hearing about the loving affairs of between Radha and Krishna is the most pleasing to the ear. Prabhupada is quoting in the purport 1033-39. Let me see. 255. Okay, we'll read this again because I didn't get to read this purport myself. So I'll read this and we can discuss next time. Yeah, we can pause here. Sri Chaitanya Chaitamrita ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's offer obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kupasandubhyevacha paditana pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.